It starts with silence, with pain no one claps for, with nights where your heart feels heavier than your body and the world forgets your name, and that is exactly where legends are forged. Disappear because growth demands isolation, and come back unrecognizable because comfort made you weak, but pressure will make you lethal. In 2026, you don't chase validation, you build power so undeniable it introduces you before you speak. While others celebrate excuses, you stack discipline. While they scroll, you sharpen. While they sleep, you suffer on purpose. Every drop of sweat is a receipt. Every lonely step is interest compounding on your future dominance. You don't need motivation. You need standards so high they scare the old version of you. Pain becomes fuel when you refuse to quit, and hunger becomes vision when you refuse to settle. Let them doubt, let them laugh, let them forget, because when you return, you won't explain yourself, your results will. This is the year you stop asking for permission, stop negotiating with weakness, and start becoming the threat you once prayed would save you. Disappear now, return as proof. Discipline is the foundation of freedom because without it, your life is controlled by impulses you didn't choose and emotions you never mastered. And most people never realize this until it's too late. Every time you wake up and negotiate with your comfort, you hand over control of your future. Every time you say tomorrow, you tighten the chains around your own potential. People think freedom is doing whatever you want, whenever you want, but that mindset creates the weakest humans on the planet. Tired, distracted, addicted, and emotionally fragile. Real freedom is waking up early even when your body begs you to stay down because you decide who's in charge. Real freedom is training when motivation disappears, working when no one is watching, and holding your word even when breaking it would feel easier. Without discipline, emotions become dictators, sadness keeps you in bed, fear keeps you small, anger makes you reckless, pleasure makes you lazy, and comfort slowly robs you of ambition. Discipline flips that power dynamic. It teaches you that feelings are temporary, but standards are permanent. You don't train because you feel confident. You train until confidence has no choice but to show up. You don't work because you feel inspired. You work because excellence is non-negotiable. Discipline is choosing pain now, so life doesn't choose pain for you later. It is the quiet strength that compounds daily, the invisible armor that protects you when chaos hits. When you are disciplined, rejection doesn't break you, failure doesn't stop you, and criticism doesn't control you, because your validation comes from keeping promises to yourself. Most people are exhausted not because they work too hard, but because they live in constant internal conflict, constantly arguing with their own mind. Discipline ends that war. It simplifies life. You do what must be done, regardless of mood, weather, or opinion. And as days stack into months, something dangerous happens. You stop needing approval, you stop fearing discomfort, and you stop being predictable. That's freedom. Freedom is not needing motivation to act. Freedom is not being ruled by cravings, excuses, or temporary emotions. Freedom is having a body that obeys, a mind that focuses, and a life that moves forward whether you feel like it or not. Discipline gives you leverage over yourself, and when you control yourself, no one else can control you. That's why disciplined people walk differently, speak less, and tolerate nonsense from no one. They've suffered intentionally, so they're not afraid of suffering accidentally. They've trained their mind to endure, so pressure doesn't crush them, it sharpens them. In the end, discipline doesn't limit your life, it expands it. It gives you options, respect, confidence, and power. Without it, you're at the mercy of every emotion, every distraction, every excuse. With it, you become calm in chaos, focused in noise, and unstoppable in the long run. That is why discipline is not punishment, it is self-respect in action, and the truest form of freedom a human being can ever earn. Discipline is the foundation of freedom because the moment you lack it, your emotions take control and your life becomes reactive instead of intentional. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they let how they feel decide what they do. When you live like that, every bad mood becomes an excuse, every fear becomes a wall, and every moment of comfort becomes a trap. You wake up tired and skip the work. You feel unmotivated and delay the mission. You feel offended and lose focus. Slowly, without realizing it, your emotions put a leash around your neck and pull you wherever they want. That is not freedom. That is slavery disguised as choice. Discipline breaks that leash. It teaches you to act based on principle, not mood. It trains you to move forward even when your mind is screaming for comfort and your body is begging for rest. At first, it feels heavy, uncomfortable, even cruel, but that weight is the price of independence. Without discipline, emotions grow louder every year. Fear gets stronger, comfort becomes addictive, and discipline feels impossible. With discipline, emotions lose authority. You still feel fear, doubt, and pain, but they no longer get a vote. You understand that feelings are signals, not commands. Discipline is what allows you to say, "I hear you, but I'm moving anyway." That ability changes everything. It turns chaos into structure and weakness into reliability. People think discipline is restrictive, but the opposite is true. The undisciplined life is full of limits: financial stress, poor health, weak confidence, broken promises, and constant regret. Discipline removes those limits by building consistency. When you train your body daily, your energy increases. When you control your habits, your time multiplies. When you master your reactions, your peace grows. Freedom isn't found in doing less. It's found in being capable of more. Discipline gives you that capability. It allows you to choose long-term respect over short-term pleasure. It allows you to build a life where you don't panic under pressure because you've already trained in discomfort. Emotionally undisciplined people collapse when things get hard because hardship feels unfamiliar. Disciplined people stay calm because they've practiced suffering on their own terms. They wake up early, push when it hurts, and stay committed when quitting would feel good. Over time, this rewires the mind. You stop seeing difficulty as a threat and start seeing it as confirmation that you're moving forward. That's when freedom shows up, not as ease, but as confidence. Confidence that no matter how you feel, you will still execute. Confidence that your word means something. Confidence that you can be trusted by yourself. When you lack discipline, you are constantly negotiating with your own mind, and that internal chaos is exhausting. Discipline removes the negotiation. You decide once and execute daily. That simplicity creates mental clarity, and mental clarity creates power. You stop chasing motivation and start relying on standards. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. That's real freedom, not being controlled by anger, not being paralyzed by fear, not being seduced by comfort. Discipline gives you emotional stability because it teaches you endurance. It teaches you that discomfort won't kill you, failure won't define you, and pressure won't break you. Over time, you become harder to manipulate, harder to distract, and harder to stop. Your emotions still exist, but they sit in the passenger seat instead of behind the wheel. And when you reach that point, no one can easily control you, distract you, or derail you. That is why discipline is not optional. It is the price of self-mastery. Without it, your emotions own you. With it, you own yourself. And when you own yourself, you finally experience what freedom actually feels like. Discipline is the foundation of freedom because the human mind, left unmanaged, naturally drifts toward comfort, avoidance, and emotional decision-making, and that drift slowly destroys potential. When discipline is absent, emotions become the ruler of your actions, and emotions are unstable by nature. One day you feel confident, the next day you feel weak. One moment you feel inspired, the next moment you feel tired or offended. If your behavior changes every time your emotions change, your life will never move in a straight line. You will start things but never finish them. You will dream big but act small. You will confuse intensity with progress and comfort with happiness. This is how people become trapped, not by external forces, but by their own unchecked feelings. Discipline is what interrupts this cycle. It creates a structure that holds you steady when your emotions fluctuate. It teaches you to operate from commitment instead of impulse, from standards instead of moods. Without discipline, anger makes you reckless, fear makes you hesitate, pleasure makes you lazy, and sadness makes you quit. With discipline, those same emotions lose their power to control your behavior. You still feel them, but they no longer decide for you. That separation is everything. It is the moment you stop being a victim of how you feel and start becoming the architect of how you live. Many people misunderstand freedom, believing it means no rules, no pressure, no restraint. In reality, that version of freedom leads to chaos, regret, and dependency. True freedom comes from self-control. It comes from knowing you can trust yourself to act correctly even when it's hard, boring, painful, or lonely. Discipline builds that trust. Every time you do what you said you would do, especially when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your identity. You become someone who follows through, and when you become that person, your confidence stops being fragile. It no longer depends on praise, mood, or external validation. It comes from knowing your character is solid. Without discipline, life becomes a constant emotional roller coaster. You overreact to criticism, you chase pleasure to escape discomfort, and you collapse when things don't go your way. Discipline flattens that ride. It gives you emotional stability by teaching you endurance. You learn that discomfort is temporary, boredom is survivable, and effort is non-negotiable. This realization is liberating. It means you don't need perfect conditions to move forward. You don't need motivation to show up. You don't need permission to work. You act because that's who you are, not because it feels good in the moment. Over time, this creates real freedom in every area of life. Financially, disciplined people are not desperate because they've delayed gratification. Physically, disciplined people have energy because they've respected their body. Mentally, disciplined people are calm under pressure because they've trained their mind to endure stress. Emotionally, undisciplined people panic when life pushes back because they've built a lifestyle that avoids discomfort. Disciplined people stay composed because discomfort is familiar territory. They've chosen hard routines so that hard moments don't shock them. This is why discipline is power. It gives you leverage over yourself, and self-leverage is the highest form of control. When you lack it, you are easily manipulated by cravings, by trends, by opinions, by fear of judgment. When you have it, you become difficult to influence because your direction is already decided. Discipline simplifies life by removing constant decision-making. You don't wake up asking how you feel. You wake up knowing what must be done. That clarity saves mental energy and creates momentum, and momentum is dangerous in the best way. It compounds quietly until one day your life looks completely different, and people think it happened overnight. What they don't see is the daily discipline that protected you from emotional sabotage. In the end, discipline doesn't take freedom away from you, it gives it to you. It frees you from excuses, from emotional chaos, from regret, and from the exhausting habit of starting over. Without discipline, your emotions own you. With discipline, you own your actions. And when you own your actions consistently, you own your future. That is why discipline is not a restriction. It is liberation earned through self-respect and relentless consistency. As 2026 stands in front of you, understand this clearly. Nothing in your life will change unless you do. This year is not waiting for your motivation, your mood, or your excuses. It will move forward with or without you. The people who win in 2026 won't be the loudest, the luckiest, or the most talented. They will be the ones who decided to take control of themselves. Life doesn't reward intentions, it rewards actions repeated daily. Every morning you wake up, you are voting for the person you will become, and most people keep voting for comfort without realizing the cost. If you want a different future, you must live differently starting now, not someday. Cut the habits that weaken you, distance yourself from distractions, and build a routine that forces progress even on bad days. Choose discipline over emotion, standards over feelings, and long-term respect over short-term pleasure. Stop waiting to feel ready, act first and let confidence catch up. The powerful lesson for 2026 is simple but brutal. No one is coming to save you, and that is your greatest advantage. Take responsibility, suffer with purpose, and execute relentlessly. Do the hard things daily. Stay silent while you build and let your results speak for you.